Welcome to Slashers Sunday and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We're here to talk about all the ho-ho horror movies. And we're not starting with a winner, I'm going to tell you that. So if you want to check this out, it is currently streaming on Shudder. And this is called Don't Open Till Christmas, or as I would call it, Don't Ever Open It.
Just don't.
No, this is a pretty funny one. It's just bizarre. Now, on the poster it says from the producers of Pieces. That checks.
Yeah.
That tracks for sure here. That checks out. Because Pieces is fairly bizarre and sleazy, and this is bizarre and sleazy.
Very sleazy.
Pieces is more entertaining for sure. Pieces has more like funny what the fuck moments. This has a lot of just kind of straight up what the fuck moments where I'm sitting back going, huh? What's happening?
Like, wait, what?
So, oh boy, let's get into it. I had thought I had seen this because there's so many like Christmas slashers that, you know, I started to kind of lump some of them together in my brain and confuse them. I had not seen this one. I've seen a lot of them, but not this one. So this one was all together new to me. And let's jump on into it. So we get an opening scene that's very creative and original in every way. There's no plagiarism going on here. We got some POV shots of the killer with some emphysemic breathing.
Yes.
Heavy breath.
Heavy breathing.
Heavy breath work. And the music sounds like a ripoff of Jaws.
So weird.
Yeah.
Such a very copycat kind of opening.
Yeah. One of the things that was striking to me about this film, outside of just how like convoluted the plot was also the reactions of people in the movie towards everything. So, there's so many bizarre scenes, and you know, I'm not from jolly old London or anything, but I have a feeling that humans kind of react to these types of things similarly.
Yeah.
I don't care where you're from.
If you're in a car, even if you're drunk and there's like somebody, like you're trying to make out or do whatever, and there's like some creep that's walking around, like just looking in at you, like close, car, not like, oh, there's someone from a distance that sees us, like literally right outside
the car,
you would definitely not be like, just ignore him.
Yeah, the guy's like, hey man, get out of here, and the girl's like, oh, just ignore him, let's fuck. And it's like, no. I have never seen that in a film in my entire life, where the chick is the one that's so horny, she's like, forget the guy outside, let him watch if he wants, kind of reaction.
Well, yeah, and then the guy does end up like getting out of the car to try and confront him, and he gets killed, and the girl gets chased down and also killed, and that's our like cold opening.
Yeah, so like when it comes to the kills in this, I really thought that we were gonna go for just kind of like generic, repetitive knives to the stomach. And while we do get a couple more of those in the film and with major characters, there's actually kind of a decent amount of variety in the kills here. And I actually thought that that was a stronger part of the film. But what was not strong was set decoration.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna tell you that right now.
It's because they had like 3 locations plus the like London Dungeon Museum.
Yeah.
And then everything else was just like the same interior shots with different things.
I'm pretty sure that the detective's office, which, you know, the set designer's whole idea was map. There's just a big map behind him and like 3 phones on the desk in front of him.
Yeah.
I'm going to only assume that was probably in the same apartment building as the main character's apartment. Like, I have a feeling that everything was shot in that apartment.
I do too.
And it was just like shown from different angles, which is fine. I mean, that's a good
Oh, sure.
utilization of a budget, so good on them
It's
for
just
that.
it definitely didn't feel very like you could tell that it was shot in the same-ish area at the very least. Or even if it wasn't, like it's clearly not a police department, like that kind of a thing.
And
But
we're
I do think like what you were saying though about the kills, like even though they're not good kills, there is variety to
mhm.
them, which is at least entertaining in that aspect.
And our stripper TT, which that's not her name, that's what her shirt says.
She's not even a stripper.
She's a stripper. What are you talking about?
She's
She works
like
for a peep show where she takes
she
off her
she's
clothes.
like a dancer.
She's a stripper. She calls herself a dancer.
Okay.
Are you
I guess
kidding
you're
me?
right.
She literally sits behind glass, and for an extra charge, she takes off her clothes by stripping.
Okay. I guess you're right. I guess that's
She
technically a
ultimately,
stripper.
these guys are always coming there to pay extra. They're not there to talk. This isn't a talk hotline, man. I guess you have to pay $50 or £50 to jerk off, though, is what I was getting from that. It was like $5 if you want me to take off my top. It was like £10 if you want me to like bear all, and $50, no questions asked. Like, or like anything goes is what she said. Whatever you do on that side of the glass is your business or something like that. And it's like, I guess you have to pay like a super premium if you actually want to like pull it out and do anything, right? Because she's not like $50 you can come on this side of the glass and have
Yeah.
sex with me, right? It was like anything goes as long as you're on your side of the glass,
Right.
which is super interesting. Anyways, getting off topic there, but yeah, with her in her like where she is abducted and held, that's probably the bedroom in the apartment, but just designed a little different. Which, as I said, there's nothing wrong with any of that. I just found it funny. But the living room of our main apartment
Oh
of
my
our main
gosh.
character, it's like they could only. It's not even that they could afford. It was almost like they went around and asked people like, "Do you have any Christmas stuff?" And they're like, "Here, I have." And it's like
I have
anything
I
works.
have a
And they're like,
quarter
"Okay."
inch
And
of
it's like,
tinsel.
I have this much tinsel. Does that work? We'll make it work. They literally just like taped like tinsel that was like 3 feet long into the center of the wall. Like, it was the
It's
most bizarre
so weird.
decorations I've ever seen for Christmas in a movie in my
Especially because
life.
like the rest of the film feels fairly Christmassy, I suppose. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of Santas, obviously, all wearing kind of the same outfit, which was funny to me. But like there's shots of like, kids like window shopping and kids at the mall with Santa or the department store or whatever. So I feel like the other parts of it, like those shots at least felt fairly festive,
Mm-hmm.
but the decorating was so bad for her apartment. It was like it just felt so last minute, and like they, like you said, like they just got scraps from people and tried to make it. I don't know. It was really bizarre.
I guess before we continue, I know a lot of people watch these videos and are not watching the movies. So we probably should, we obviously are talking spoilers, but we should talk about like what this movie is actually about. So, um, there's a serial killer who, spoilers, is a, I mean, is he escaped mental patient or he's released, isn't he? I think he's
I
released.
truly do not know.
I'm
I'm
pretty
not
sure he's
gonna.
released. I think that's what divulged that he was released. I think. Anyway,
Why did? Okay, I have questions about
so
that then, but
he's released and he hates Christmas. We'll get to why in the end. I'm still trying to figure that out. But he wants to kill Santa Clauses and anything pertaining to Santa, or Christmas. But he has it out for Santa in particular for a very specific reason. In the end, and he goes around killing Santas, and that's like the horror part of the movie. And that stuff I actually like. The gritty London town stalking of Santa Clauses and whatever. Like, I like that stuff. That stuff's good. The all the detective stuff and the characterizations of like the main girl and her boyfriend and all that stuff, awful.
yeah,
It's just awful because it never cohesively works. It never feels like an actually like thought out narrative. It is
no.
such poor storytelling.
Everything feels like really disjointed and very confusing,
Very
and I had
confusing.
such a hard time trying to follow any kind of plot that like I kind of eventually fairly early on just sort of gave up on like listening to characters and was more just watching it and sort of like laughing at like background stuff or
Yeah.
like their reactions to things, because I think it's a really poorly written film.
Very bad.
And yeah, the explanations that we get at the end and everything, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And not that like, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure like this is the kind of slasher film that most people think like, well, that's all slashers. Like they don't make sense and they're just all it is tits and gore, and that's definitely not true. But this is the kind of slasher that I would say gives a bad name to slashers, unfortunately, because
Speaking of
it's just
tits,
like there's a lot of
a lot of
a good
nudity in
amount of
this.
nudity in this.
Yeah.
It's really confusing because there's this one scene where it's like the main actress, the main girl, her father gets killed
Yeah.
dressed as Santa in front of everybody at this weird like costume Christmas party, which I've also like never really seen people do like costumes on Christmas, but
And one of them's wearing a mask that's reminiscent of the mask from Troll
that's the
2.
killer.
I
The
know,
killer's
but
mask is, yeah, it looks like that one mask from Troll 2.
it
Um
almost looks like the face of the deformed kid in Midsommar or
it's supposed
something.
to be a shrunken head.
Mm.
So I feel like it might also be like vaguely racist-ish,
Mm.
possibly. I don't know.
You mean the people
Um,
dressed as Indians are being
there's
racist? I
also
can't
like a
believe it.
guy dressed as as a Native American. Anyway, so this girl, like her father gets killed in front of everyone at this Christmas party,
To no
and
reaction
yeah,
at
they
all.
all
They all
nobody
just kind of
screams.
go,
I mean, he
huh?
straight up gets like
A
a spear
spear through the,
stabbed through the back of
yeah.
his
Like
head,
he's fucking
like in
murdered
front of
in front
them.
of everyone. Everyone's kind of like,
Anyway, yeah,
huh.
so she's like, one of the main characters. This detective is kind of talking to her and her boyfriend because of, their connection with this one of the kills that has happened.
Well, it's her
And
father.
because it's her father, but like all these other Santas are dying around town. So she's like being, asked questions of. And her boyfriend like runs into this old friend who is a photographer for, I guess, nudie magazines or
Yeah.
something, and he like convinces him to bring her over while he's having a photo shoot with a girl. And so this is one of the scenes where there's a ton of nudity. It kind of reminded me, even though there's not, I actually don't remember if there's nudity, but
Peeping Tom.
yeah, it reminded me of that a little bit just because of the photographer aspect. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, she's invited over, and they try to like con her, they try to like trick her into doing like a photo shoot with
Well,
this
you're already
girl,
here.
and it's so awful. And but then the guy pulls out a freaking Santa costume, and so she runs off like clearly upset.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend stays behind because
Because her dad
he's,
was just murdered in a Santa
yeah.
costume, and she's, yeah.
And this the girl that's there currently getting photographed, who's kind of like this ditzy like blonde type, puts on the Santa costume and is leaving with the boyfriend. She has like nothing on underneath the Santa
They're
costume.
supposed to be going outside for like
An
a
outdoor
an
shoot?
outdoor shoot, but the photographer isn't with them, so I don't understand
I don't either. But anyway, she like tries to come on to
that.
him, and he like he sees these police officers in the distance that are like watching them, and he's like, they're gonna think we're gays. And
Yeah.
he like runs off, and she like runs off chasing after him. The cops slowly walk towards them, and they end up getting separated, and this girl starts to get chased, like she runs into the killer.
Well, she
And
runs and hides and is like scared, hiding from the police, and I'm like, the fuck are they
the
scared
only
of?
thing
Why
she's
is she
afraid of is
scared
because
of?
she's naked underneath the robes. But if she didn't like flash them or
Everyone's
anything,
naked under their
I know,
clothes.
but like it's because it's just like a coat, like it's not like sealed or anything.
Doesn't
So
matter.
my whatever. That's the only reason why I would imagine she would be
But he
like,
runs because he thinks they're gonna get
because
caught
they're,
being gay,
yeah,
even though she's clearly a woman.
yeah. All they had to do was get closer, and they're like, oh, like you're just a regular couple.
And
But
they and she shows, so she opens up her outfit, right, to show him her nudity, even though he just saw it upstairs. But she's trying to like, seduce him. And the cops don't even see it from the front, so they
no,
can't even tell what's going on. But he's not worried about it. He's not like, oh my god, we're gonna get arrested for indecent exposure. He says, they're gonna think we're gays. Run.
I know.
And
Awful.
then she runs. Why is she running? She's like, I'm a woman.
It's so dumb. But she runs into the killer, and he like sees she's a woman. He sees that she's naked. He has this moment where he's like tracing the knife around her chest and stuff, and he's like clearly like super into it and doesn't kill her. And then
Yeah,
she
just
gets
lets her
taken
go.
in on indecent exposure. But what's so weird about that is that like you had said like you think that this means he's only going to kill men, like he only wants to kill male Santa Clauses. But that is not the case because he does kill women
Yeah,
the rest
later
of the
on.
film.
I don't know
And
why he lets her live there
I don't either.
to then just kill her in the
She's just the hottest
London
one to
dungeon.
him because it's like she's a Santa and she's a woman, and like the combination like fries his brain.
Yeah, he's
Like, well, I
does not
hate this,
compute.
but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's very weird. Anyway, she shows her boobs a lot though throughout the
a
film,
lot.
and yeah, it has like a lot of the scenes with like the women just feel very sleazy and yeah.
Yeah, it's a sleazy film because we're dealing with like, underground peep shows and such like that, and then adulterers
Yeah.
and dudes sneaking into these seedy places to like jack off. So yeah, it is a very sleazy film for sure. Um, and the boyfriend in this is just awful,
Yeah, he
and
sucks. And he's a
there's
bad what are they called? Flautists? Is that how you say it? How do you say the like when somebody who plays the flute? Isn't it
I have
flautist
no idea.
or
What?
something?
Flautist?
It's
That
not
sounds like someone who
flutist.
farts a lot.
I know, but it's like a weird.
Like I'm good at flatulization. Flatulization? Is that a thing?
No.
Flatulizing? How would you say that?
Flatulization?
What would it be?
I'm a good flatulator.
Flatulator. Yeah,
That's
flatulator.
not a word either.
That's a
I think we're
word.
making up words.
No.
There is a word for somebody who plays the flute that is
What
like a
about somebody who
flautist or
farts
something.
a lot? A farter?
Yeah.
No.
He's just seems very mediocre at the flute though.
If you're flatulizing.
You don't flatulize with the enemy.
Yeah, you don't flatulize at the enemy. I just see two people farting in a room, like in the lighthouse. They're flatulizing with each other. What the fuck are we talking about?
I was just saying he plays the flute.
Yeah, he's
fairly poorly. I think
weird. That's such a weird part of it too,
that
because
he like
the party makes it seem like these are like highbrow people who are like,
they even say that she's like gonna inherit his
yeah,
money.
that's what I'm saying.
But they're out on the street like
he's like a penniless.
Is this like a thing that people do
for
that we
fun?
didn't know? I just always assume like when you see people playing an instrument with like a hat for money.
Oh yeah, they're like
poor and they're like this is like all they can do for money.
Yeah.
So to see people that have like a home that are like playing for money, but like that, like not like oh I'm gonna go to a bar or whatever. Like I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah,
I've never
when you
seen
don't have
that.
an actual gig
It
and you
feels
just
weird.
sit outside and play the instrument.
The detective even says something.
Yeah.
It's like, is this your like
is
job?
This your job? And she's like, sometimes.
It's like, what are you talking about?
I've
never seen that. Maybe that is a thing that people do.
And she just stands there with the hat. They're like back to back, and he just plays the flute shittily as she takes people's money and
weird, really
while they
weird.
Flatulalize.
Really weird. And then she ends up having this like kind of.
There's some weird romance.
Yeah.
It's super bizarre.
With the detective.
They like hint at it. So this is such a bizarre part of the show. So she is like being interrogated, whatever you want to call it, by the detective, who ends up being the brother of the killer. But like she's like trying to give him, leads, and they literally only discuss the case for a very short amount of time. Then she goes to him after her boyfriend's being a shit, and she says, you're the only one I feel the closest to at the moment. Huh?
Yeah.
And then she comes over and there's like some kind of like flirtation going on. When he gives her his card, there's a little bit of that. And then they go out to dinner together and the boyfriend tries to show up and he gets kicked out because he's not like dressed for the joint. And then they just cut to her back at her apartment, like in her bathrobe. And we think like, did they have sex? Did they? And then the killer's just like in her house and then just kills her. And then that's that.
It's
And it's
really,
like,
really sudden and very
huh?
weird. Yeah.
Was that romance? What was that? What?
So
It's just
weird.
filler. It's just like there's no point to
There
any
is
of it.
none. Because then, yeah, the girl from like the Peep Show ends up becoming kind of like the final girl, question mark. She might also die.
We don't
But
know.
she's the one, she gets kidnapped and she like has this crazy escape where she like tricks him into starting to have like flashbacks to why he hates Christmas and then hits him over the head with like a brick or something and then runs to the locked
It's
door
like a
and
two
turns
by
to him
four.
and is like,
Oh yeah.
"Where's the key?"
So there's so many things that happen with her. So first off, she goes back to her job when the cops tell her like, no, you're putting yourself in danger. We're gonna have a cop take you home. And she's like, no. So she returns to the Peep Show without any, assistance or guard. And when she gets in there, she immediately recognizes the guy, not like immediately, very quickly. And he jumps through the glass, but somehow it like restricts him from coming forward more. So she's able to escape because he's kind of like, his arms are out and he's like almost at her, but he like can't reach her exactly. But
Yeah.
there's literally nothing between them. The only partition was the glass and he broke through it. So I don't understand why he's restricted in his movement, but that gives her the time to escape. This is during the broad daylight, mind you. She's running down the street. Now, when she leaves this place, she has the ability to run in any direction she wants. She can run anywhere she wants, and she can scream. She can yell for help. She can go into any building. She can do anything. But what does she do? She runs down the street, broad daylight, never screams, runs into the guy, then like he grabs her, pulls her downstairs right next to her. She doesn't scream, she barely fights back, and right at the bottom of those stairs are handcuffs waiting for her because this is like his hideout
Yeah.
that she ran directly to
Yeah.
from her place of business
Yeah,
in
she
broad
she
daylight
just
without screaming, running directly to it, not being chased there in any specific way where he's cutting her off and leading her this way or that way. She could have ran left, right, straight, back, any way she wanted, but somehow she ran straight to his fucking hideout and then
yes.
allowed him to take her down there without any fight at all. This is the laziest script writing possible.
Yeah.
And then while she's down there, as you said, she hits him over the head and then runs over to the door. And the funniest fucking part of the entire movie, yells at him, "Where are the keys?"
Yeah.
Like he's going to be like, "Here you go. Here they are."
He does. He pulls them out and then she
He's
goes
like,
over
"Look."
and takes them and then she ends up like smacking him in the face with some chains because he grabs at her
Yeah.
again and she grabs the key and runs off.
Yeah.
But instead of running outside, she runs like upstairs and just like climbs this I don't even know what it is.
So this makes zero sense, of course, right? So like the way we see it in the beginning of how she gets in there is that he pulls her down
Into
stairs, like
a
one stair
downstairs like
down, then
area.
another down, and she's in the room. And that's it. There's just a stair up and a stair up, and she's on the main road.
Yeah.
But somehow she goes out the one door to the room that he already pulled her through and goes up into some big open stairwell that runs up 5 flights of stairs endlessly to no doors with any, or like with doors with no handles.
Yeah.
Why does this room have only one entrance to it when she goes into it? That's just at the bottom of stairs that go straight out to the street. But this time when she comes out, she's somehow inside of a huge building that has an endless stairwell.
I don't know. I literally
that
have
makes
no idea.
Zero sense.
It makes no sense.
But she does do something very surprising.
Yeah, like when she gets up to the top, she's like cornered.
We thought for sure he was going to kill her and we were going to move into.
Like, yeah, she dodges and ducks, and then he hits the chain.
Yep.
And she grabs it from like underneath and like uses like his leverage to pull him over, so he falls down all these like many flights.
At least 5 stories. Yeah. At least.
Then she of course goes down, and of course he's alive for a second. And he like lunges at her.
Yeah, he throttles her, but to what avail? I have no
It
idea.
cuts
Does
away.
she
We don't see what
die?
happens. We don't see
Does
her
he
die. We
live?
don't see him die. So who knows?
Yeah, we never get closure on that.
No, and then instead the final scene is the main like detective, his brother, who's like at his house, and he like sees the present and is like, "Oh, it's Christmas. I can open it
Yeah,
now."
he gets a present earlier in the film, and it says "Don't open till Christmas," hence the title of the film. And then we get the flashback. So the flashback is interesting because it's fucking insane and makes very little sense. You want to say what the flashback is?
It's like this kid who like all these parents are having a party, and there's this really weird voiceover that's like the mom talking throughout, like because they couldn't film it in real time. I don't know. I
I
guess
think
it's
it's supposed to
supposed to
make
give
it.
it like
It's yeah.
creepy.
It's supposed to give it a dream
It's
quality.
really weird.
I like that.
And
I like it.
anyway, a Santa shows up and hands out gifts to this kid, which he gives to his brother, which we see for like 1 second, and like his mom. And he gets a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
That he's like super excited about. And then his mom is like telling him like
He's
you
so
have to
weird
go to
with that
bed.
Swiss Army knife.
He's really weird. He's like
oh,
you know, he's like obsessed
oh,
with
it's like
it.
putting a corkscrew in his eye. He's
Really weird.
Yeah.
His mom tells him that he needs to go to bed, and he's kind of angry and like goes up the stairs, and then he sees his dad dressed as Santa like cheating on his mom, like straight up having sex.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like stands there for a second, and his mom comes in, realizes what's happening. I guess they get in a fight because we see the dad like push like the boy.
It's shown from POV, so he's like swatting at the kid maybe,
but then it makes the mom who's standing behind him fall down and like somehow fall out of the room, and then also fall down the stairs, to which she dies.
Yeah.
And that's the explanation for like why he hates Santas, is because his dad killed his mom.
What's very bizarre about this scene is that he walks in on his dad screwing some other woman, and the dad just kind of bats at him to get the hell out of the room. And then the mom walks in and it like covers his eyes, and they're fighting, of course, as she said. And then he bats at the kid, but then the mom falls down the stairs. How that happened, the trajectory of like this way and that way, around the corner and down the stairs. I don't know how he pushed her out the door and around the corner down the stairs, but he did. And the kid's still in the room, and he's still swatting at the kid as the woman's falling down the stairs. But then the kid is also standing at the top of the stairs looking down at her with the Swiss Army knife out. The editing in this movie is so poor because everything makes it look like it's one thing when it's not. Right? It is such a confusing scene geographically, where you're like, wait, wasn't he swatting at the kid as she was still falling down the stairs, but he's also at the stairs looking at her like he was with her as she fell, but he wasn't because they were in a bedroom around the corner from the stairs? Like, I am so fucking confused by this scene. But regardless, this is why he hates Christmas. I can't tell you how many. I would love to actually sit down and try to figure out how many movies that are like Christmas slashers where the kid is fucked up because he saw mom fucking Santa Claus.
I know.
This is like feels that like a song,
reoccurring, like,
right?
I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. I
saw mommy kissing Santa. This is like the national theme for,
but it's like
Santa
usually Santa. That's in that song. It's supposed to be the dad is dressed as Santa, not that the mom is cheating on the dad with Santa. Weird. Yeah, I guess this is a common thing for making people become Christmas serial killers, I suppose.
Yeah, don't fuck Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It turns your kid into a killer.
Yeah. So that's the flashback we get, and then the brother, the detective, opens his gift, and it's this like little music box that's like Santa's workshop. And he's like, oh, so charming. And he sits down and it plays its little song. And then
Kaylee was like, she's like, I hope it's a bomb. I want it to be a bomb. And then she's like, oh,
I wanted it to be a bomb from the second he got it. Yeah. I was like, that's a bomb.
And she was like, oh, it's not a bomb. And then boom, it was a bomb. And she was like, so happy, and like the whole side of his face was like all torn up as it like went away, and then the credits rolled
It
and
was
she was
so
like,
fast.
it's over, it's over, it's over. It really did. It was so jarring because
So fast because we didn't get any like, is the killer dead? Is that girl dead? What the what? Like,
the detective stuff in this is so pointless and
yes,
so poor, and the connection to the killer and the detective is so like,
badly fleshed
yes,
out that it's like, what?
every
Like that he could have
character in
just been
this is so
he didn't
poorly
have like
fleshed out.
he didn't have to be the brother. Like the brother he's not even in the he's only in the flashback for a
Literally
second.
1 second.
Like
I thought the
he
brother
could
was going to be
literally
the
have just
one.
been like, I'm gonna kill you because I want to kill you because you dressed as Santa one year or something. Like that would have made more sense.
Would have made more sense if like the brother forced him to dress up like Santa, and then mom thought he was Santa and like started molesting
That would
him
be horrible.
like
He's
as
like,
dad, and
yeah,
then like it fucks him all up or something because like mom had sex with him while he was Santa.
yeah. I mean, the only his mom dying is like, the main thing, but why he wants to kill his brother as well, we don't have any reason for why that
because
would
he
be a thing.
because he didn't have to witness
I
mom getting
guess
pushed down the stairs.
he's just supposed to be insane. That's one of those. I think this is one of those really lazy writings where, like, when people are like, well, they're just crazy. They don't need a reason to do something. Like, they're just insane. You know what I mean?
He also says that, the peep show girl, um he wants her to be the final sacrifice
Yeah, he has a
for
really
all of, against all of Christmas's evil.
he has a really lame like moment with her where he like slut shames her and is like got this like holier than thou thing going on that is just like, where is this coming from? Because your dad had sex with like a, sorry if you can hear our really loud dryer.
So loud.
Sounds awful. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
Could they have made a more obvious killer in this film? Because
yeah.
they kind of like they hide his identity, like it's a whodunit kind of thing, and it's going to be a reveal. And it's like every scene this dude's in, he's like big
Yeah.
eyes
He
and his
looks
hair is all crazy,
scary.
and he's like, and they're like, the guy got out of a mental institution.
And
I'm like, I
they've got
wonder who it is.
they have the horrible music playing
Oh my god, they play. This is another weird part of this movie. They play like the horror themed music
when nothing's
in like
happening.
scenes where literally nothing is happening. Like people are just talking and having a conversation. You're like, you're looking around. Like, I think it's supposed to be there to like, you know, put you on edge and think, as some kind of red herring kind of
Mhm.
moment. Like it's really bizarre choices. With that's editing. That's editing. Once again, this is
Yeah.
the editor's like, oh well, it's been a little while since we played horror music. So even though this scene has no horror in it,
Just put
let's
it
just
on.
let's just throw it in. Imagine
Just put
like
it on.
the stalking scenes, like in Halloween, the themes that are playing there,
Yeah.
but we're playing them when like Annie and Lynn and Lori are talking about Ben Tramer
Right.
and
That's
being
what it was
like, I
like.
need you to call, I need you to call him and tell him it was a joke, and it was like dun 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 dun, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, fuck is this music playing right now?
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, editing is horrible. Just horrible. Yeah, this one was like I don't know if it was, I mean, it was entertaining, but it's very confusing and very like that part drags.
Yes.
Like because of that, I would say it's probably not the most entertaining like bad film kind of a thing like the last
No.
one that we watched, which we had a
No.
really good time with as far as entertainment value goes. Um but I mean, I don't know, at least the kills are varied. I won't say
Yeah.
that they're like super unique or anything. They just are different. So you don't have to worry about it being like the same thing over and over again. And
Well,
there is the sleaziness to it,
the
but
kills we get a guy who gets like he's super drunk and he's like laughing. He's like, oh, and he like turns around and a gun just gets shoved in his mouth and the trigger gets pulled and his head. It's pretty great.
it's
That
funny.
was that was
There's a
good
lot of
because
like really funny
you
ones.
rarely see guns in slashers,
Yeah.
and I'm an advocate for slashers using guns. I actually love it. I love when they're there because they're so rare, in Maniac, when he jumps up on the hood with the shotgun and blows Tom Savini's head off. It's just so unexpected in a slasher, and obviously Art the Clown loves to use a gun. here and there. And all the slasher purists, I don't know. I don't see them crying about that, but I do see people crying about Ghostface having a shotgun in Scream 6, but don't seem to care that Art the Clown pulls out a fucking gun randomly here and there. It's weird. People are very picky and choosy about their guns in slasher movies. I don't want them to use a gun 24, 7. I don't want them to use it all the time. But, you can, like, I made a slasher Sunday on Terminator because it's clearly a slasher film. And when people are arguing with me, I'm like, dude, it is 100% a slasher film. And even James Cameron himself said that he modeled it after slasher movies. It is clearly a slasher film. Anyway, so we get that one. The chase through the London dungeon was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that stuff was scary.
That reminded me of the like torture museum that we see in the first Hostel movie. I did quite like that. We had we had some famous iconography in there. And I dug that stuff. So that was a cool one. The blonde girl is hung upside down and they're dead. So he does end up killing her. So
for no reason.
Super random. Yeah. But she just so happens to work there. So it's almost like happenstance.
Yeah.
It's odd. So we get a Santa who right before this happens, there's a really funny scene. It's like a blink and you miss it kind of thing because there's another aspect of this film, which I'm surprised you didn't mention because you kept bringing it up. The movie likes to randomly become a silent film.
Oh, yeah.
Where like all the dialogue is stripped from the film and people are just like walking around and talking and nothing's coming out of their mouth and music is just playing over it.
Yeah, and then they're having these like very exaggerated reactions to things that you see in silent films because everyone's trying to like, communicate with their body language and facial expressions, and that happens like a few times.
Yeah.
The London dungeon scene, like that chase scene, is all silent as aside from music. But like the reactions of the guy, and then there's also the other part is that there's some things that are like sped up a little, which you also see in silent films. Like when they're running, they like speed them up. But yeah, there's a really funny scene with like this department store Santa who like he picks up this penguin ornament and then this like hot lady walks by and he like is looking at her and is like, whoa.
He's like, whoa, but then he like looks back at his ornament and he's like, oh. I'm like, what the fuck was that? But then I think he's the Santa after that. I can't tell.
He is because you said department store Santa when we were looking at the like synopsis to make sure. And
he then goes in the bathroom and the killer comes in and cuts his dick off. I guess because he like looked at a girl. I just put that together right now because he was like lusting after that girl. So
he was just like,
well, yeah, he was peeing, but he cut his dick off, and I don't see any reason to show that he's lusting after some hot chick to then have the next scene be the guy cutting off his dick, right? And then he attacks the other dude in the peep show. Because he doesn't like sex and Santa.
It's a really weird combination to be like, not only do I hate Christmas, but I also hate nudity and sex.
It's so weird because he's so random. He literally just kills anyone.
But he doesn't kill the one girl who's Santa and naked. That's why I'm like, that's like.
But he does kill her. He just kills her randomly later in the London dungeon. But he doesn't.
No, that's not her.
What do you mean?
The photography girl.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill her in the London dungeon. That's a different woman.
You said it was her.
Sorry, no.
I kept saying it wasn't her, and you kept saying yes, it was.
No, I'm sorry.
You're like, no, she was working outside.
No, I'm so sorry.
No, who was it then?
That was a random girl that was working there.
I told you that.
That's what I thought you were saying. I'm sorry.
What are you talking? Oh my God! No. I was 100% positive it wasn't her. And you were like, it is. So and you Santa kept telling me it was.
No,
and I kept, and then I was like,
kill her
and then I even said, like, I must have missed that. And you're like, yeah, you missed that. She was outside working.
I thought you missed that, like, she was, like, that there was a person there at all.
Guys.
So sorry.
I'm not going to call Kaylee out much ever on the channel, but I am 100% positive she tried to say that was that girl multiple times.
I definitely didn't.
That is 100% the conversation we were having.
That's not the conversation I thought we were having.
And I was giving you the benefit of the doubt and being like, all right, I must have missed something. Kaylee's right. I'm just going to roll with it. and then you're correcting me now, and I'm now having to set the record straight that you were the one that convinced me that was her.
If
And
I
I was
did,
like,
I didn't do that
no.
on purpose because I did not think
I
that's who
can't
you were
believe that.
asking
Because
about.
we talked about it for like 2 straight minutes, and I kept being like, that was not her. And you were like, yes, it was. Why would you say yes, it was to that's not her when it's nobody, when it's somebody random? I don't understand the conversation we had at all now. And I'm questioning everything in my life. So
Sorry.
confused. And I'm losing it. Another guy gets his face shoved in a fire barrel, and his whole body lights on fire, which reminds me of the Santa in the opening, which has like a head much bigger than its body.
Yeah.
It's like a doll, and it lights it on fire and it melts down during the credits. Very Halloween-esque
Mm-hmm.
opening of the credits. I actually liked that. I like the ominous kind of Christmas music take as the Santa burn.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. I like that the title was lived up to, where there was like a
Mm.
don't open till Christmas present, and he opened it on Christmas, and it was like the final gag, like for the for the credits, and it ended up blowing the guy up and killing him in the credits. I thought that was pretty cool. It kind of reminded me a little bit of my Bloody Valentine,
Mm.
when the guy's receiving presents from the killer in a heart-shaped box. um and anyway, is there anything else? I just, yeah, this whole, the beards in this movie,
Yeah,
like,
they're
I don't
all the
know
same.
it. You know what the beards look like, and I've seen these kinds of beards plenty. This is just kind of like how what they had back then. They didn't have like really good wigs that people bought. If they did, they were probably really expensive, so like lower level department store type of Santas couldn't afford anything more. Because if you look at like the Santa in like the Twilight Zone or any of
Mm.
those this is exactly the kind of fluff. It
Mm.
looks like cotton balls stuck together.
Yes, it does.
It, what it reminds me of more than anything is the spider web that you buy
Yeah, that's what I
from
was thinking as
Halloween
well.
stores, and just kind
But
of
just
like
white.
strapping that to your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. What color are spider webs?
They make them different colors, so they have like black and green,
They're
and
mostly white.
I guess you're
They're
right.
99% of the time they're white. I just worked at Spirit Halloween. All of them we had, like 99% of them were white.
Yeah.
Because they're racist. Spider webs are racist.
Okay.
Nothing. I got blank face. Just work with me here. All right, we're done.
That's pretty much everything anyway.
Yeah. The
So,
ending is crazy. This movie's crazy. What a film. What a picture.
what a picture.
No nominations for the
No.
Academy this time around, but maybe next time. So now that it is Christmas time, we definitely want to cover some Christmas movies in the horror genre. So definitely let us know if you think we haven't covered something that is, you know, fitting for this channel in the Christmas season. Let us know. I'm gonna be looking for some Christmas monster movies and some Christmas slasher movies for sure.
Yes.
So definitely recommend some in the comments below. Something you'd like to for us to cover. And other than that, guys, we'll see you in the comments with
Yay.
my very quiet wife, who's making me afraid for my life right now. All right. Bye.
Bye.